So I'm going to take you on a little bit of my journey. When I arrived in Laos in '89, I found this wonderful home where we have visitors here who actually have visited me here. The house is from the French colonial period, built just after the turn of the century. And this is where our studio, as I mentioned, Laos had a rich history of weaving and still does. Here you have one of the first photographs, which I was able to locate from 1895. And so you have many kinds of looms. You have over 60 ethnic groups. So Laos is a country rich in diversity and history. This happens to be a photograph from the north of Laos on a very unusual loom, but it was one of the very first photographs that we could find to show you how this history has evolved. Here you have a very interesting photograph, also from the late early 1900s. You'll notice this is one ethnic group that were called the Tai Lu people, or the Lao Tai Lu people. And they were originally from the south of China, and they moved down into Laos, settled in Laos, and were extraordinary weavers. And so you can see here some of the costume that they would have used. All of these woven panels and images are similar to the historic. This particular piece here is from this particular ethnic group. And you can see some of the animist images on those skirts. This is a very rare and unusual photograph of the Lao court, and I would like to show how the court used just like the song cap in Malaysia. It was very high quality. It was imported yarns that were either silver or gold, and they were beautifully used in the skirts. This is the actual grandmother of a friend of mine, Princess, who would show here just how the traditional pabyang would have been used. And you have
It's already started.
You can see, so this was a fabric. So we started in Seng Huang, and we started by planting silk and training and doing mulberry as an agricultural activity. It became an activity that the whole family was involved, including grandmother. Everyone was involved. It was a village-based activity that people could stay in the village. They could participate by collecting the leaves, boiling the silk. All of that was an activity that gave them a means to be part of the economy. Lao silk is a mulberry silk. It is not the Erie silk that you have in India and in Vietnam. So it's actually a mulberry silk. And Lao silk is non-hybrid, so it is not mixed. So it's a local variety that's extremely hardy. Here you have the silk collection, where the farmers bring the silk to the studio, and then the silk is classified and graded, and then they're paid according to the quality and the weight of the silk. This is Madame Komali, who is a Lao entrepreneur, and she did all of the training and worked with the farmers, and this would be just one of the training sessions that she was doing in the early 1990s to help promote Lao silk. We use two kinds of dyes. We use vegetable dyes, mostly by order or demand, and we do chemical dyes, which are predominantly what we use for interiors, for our wall hangings, and to make if it's something that has to be color fast. So there you can see the Mars. And colors. I make all the recipes with my primary colors. And we have thousands of colors. And many of the projects are these interior projects where a person would say, oh, I want to have a certain blue, or a red, or we have two people here tonight who wanted a certain pink and a certain red. So I register it in my mind, and then I'm going to go back and make that color for them, and then dye the piece. So it's really about all that color. Lots of color. Really, silk is about color. We have 50 staff now. We started with 5, and I started by training the 5 women that I had. Now they are all my age, and I'm 54 years old. And Dongchan is about my age, all the original weavers, who now are a little, as they're getting older, they can't see quite as well. So I've been designing product that they can weave that's simpler, not quite as complicated, finding jobs for them like winding there. But the original 5 staff are now our supervisors who have trained the next generation. I love this photograph because it shows the simple technology that we use to make these extraordinary and beautiful textiles. Bamboo bobbins, you know, the spool of a thread that we use to make a bobbin winder. It's still this very simple technology, but it still enables us to weave complicated and unique pieces. Preparing the warp, we now use a warping, tying on the loom. We often use 3,000 or 4,000 ends, similar to some of the work that I was privy to see over the weekend. So we have 2 girls, and they sit and they tie on every knot at a time, 1 knot. So when someone asks, how long does it take? Do they mean this part too? Do they mean the winding part? It adds an extra week or so of time to be able to produce the piece. We make our own combs, and I have a man who, out of bamboo, he cuts this comb, and then we create the density, and we get a little bit of irregularity to it. And I like that we maintain the handmade feature of the piece. There's plenty of textiles that are made all over the world in factories and machines by machine. We want to distinguish our product as a hand-woven, handmade product. So here you can see the Lao loom, and we store our patterns in here, and we move the design from the top to the bottom to the top, and that's how we can store it. And it works very similar to a computer. It works on a binary system where a thread is either up or down. It's an X or an O, and we are floppy drive. Remember in the days when computers had floppy drives? So this is our floppy drive. Here you can see, this is actually nylon. Some people try to buy this from us. They say, oh, it's so beautiful, it looks like lace. And I'll say, no, that's not for sale, that's our template. So you can see there a little bit of how we do it. Then we do the same process where we separate out and use the sword to create the shed. This is all extremely similar to the weaving that's practiced here in one of the types of weaving that's practiced here in Malaysia with the songket. So we're doing, you can see, every single loom, and we have 28 looms. We have different designs, different colors, different techniques. Again, wooden shuttle, the boat shuttle, bamboo, very, very simple technology that created those.